Okay. Happy Captain's Log Day 78. We haven't gotten very far since the last time we talked. That's because it's been Christmas and Thanksgiving, and everyone in the house has been sick or is sick or getting over getting it again. So it's been a little miserable, but it is a snow day today, so it felt like a good day to jump on and do an update. So I made a lot of changes. I like change. I'm not sure how much she does, but I like change. So where should we start? So let's start at the hard part, which is math. We I like Singapore Math 2022 edition, but we were hitting fractions. So my thought was she would be fine in fractions. Where we struggled was multiplication and division. And I thought, oh, but she'll understand fractions in geometry and she'll do really well with that. And then I thought, but once we have to multiply and divide fractions, then we're going to be in a mess. And I know we're not supposed to have to memorize multiplication tables, but I just felt like I didn't know where she was in even understanding them. So I printed out from Teachers Pay Teacher some of the triangle cards to try to do the multiplication and the division, which I hate flashcards, but it just gives me an idea of how much she knows and to try to help her understand. And then I also purchased the AIM multiplication program from Matthew C. So this is sort of like 40 days of teaching multiplication. It's in a little bit of a different way. They're using their manipulatives. So either we'll fly through this because she will know it and it will be easy, or we will get stuck. So I'm hoping we fly through this because she actually knows more multiplication than she lets on, and then we can move on to multiple digit multiplication later in the spring. I love these books. I keep coming back to them. They're super cheap, less than $10. The only downside, so these are fine because it's just single digit multiplication, and we don't do them timed, by the way. It's just there's just 60 problems per page, so it's just absolute practice. I think if you time them, you probably give them 3 minutes or something, but we don't time them. So she just did zeros and ones today. The problem is when you get up into the multiple digits and multiple divisions, there's no graph paper, and I like using the graph paper. So if they ever come out with this in graph paper, it will be worth its weight in gold. There are some places you can print. Matthew C has some printables, not on graph paper. There is a website that does some on graph paper, but there's only a few options, which I used back when we were doing multi-digit addition and subtraction. But these books I'm a big fan of. So we are going to do multiplication. That's our plan. So, and I'm going to stop stressing because I keep trying to stay on track with the school, and it just isn't worth it. So we know she'll be staying home for the next few years, so we have a chance to really get this math down. Yeah, language arts. She's very good at language arts. I'm not sure I don't think the problem is her reading level. I think the problem is she just doesn't want to read the paragraph and do the questions. So I kind of remember being like that as a kid too. So she's excellent in grammar. So we are using Michael Clay Thompson. We have gotten through Grammar Island and Practice Island, and about halfway through Sentence Island, and we kind of hit a stall point. So I wanted to change it up. I didn't want to lose the grammar practice, so I did bring in Fix-It Grammar. I did start at the first level. Some of it's way too easy for her, but some of it is different than what Practice Island does. So the only big difference that we just sort of talk about is they call them articles, and Michael Clay Thompson calls them adjectives, which is totally fine. She's smart enough to know the difference, and I think this will get more also punctuation included, and apostrophes, things like that. So I do think this will be a great solidification, continuing on the one sentence a day, which she really likes doing, and she's done all of Practice Island. So I didn't want to just not do anything else at the beginning of the year. So then I'd heard about this spelling you see, and I hate to jump on bandwagons, but I bought this, and she loves it. This chunking method is what they did at school. And I can't tell if she's in a too easy I think this might be too easy for her, but I think there's some holes. So she's doing really well. And she did this one, the first week, of course, is always terrible because it's new. Anything new is a disaster. But she did this whole thing on her own. And so then the question is, oh, do I just skip ahead? But I like this writing part because she writes so little. And then there's this dictation part where they're supposed to, there's copy work and then there's dictation. And I like that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to force her through some easy stuff for the next few weeks because she does this on her own. And then it's independent and she likes it. She likes grammar, man. She is a language arts kid. All right, so then I purchased this. And so this kind of made her mad because it had third grade on it. It's third to fourth grade, and she's a fourth grader. And she said, I've been doing this for years and years. And I liked this book. I had and I still have the test part book, which also has reading comprehension in it. And we've probably done a quarter of this already. She likes this test part book. But what happens is the part that's math, she can't do. And then the other stuff got into really long reading comprehension with the little tiny letters. And so that kind of stressed me out. Like, it's not that I don't think she can read it, but that is tiny lettering. So I had heard that this was good, and what I liked about it, which is someone on YouTube told me, is that it like labels the paragraphs. And so this is what they did in class. Like, they would label the paragraphs A, B, C, D, and then they would label the sentences, and then that would help the kid, and then they would ask questions about it. And that's very much how the testing goes in public school. So I liked that it was bigger words, and that everything, it's still long, but everything is labeled. So she said these are super easy. We just did the pre-test today, and I would say she could do it if she would read it. If I do it orally, she knows the answer. So I'm thinking on that. So test prep is still here, and we're doing that from time to time. So what did I do with language arts? So I was supposed to be reading this all along, and I think these are going to be great, and they're really short reads. So I'm going to read it to her. That's going to be my plan. I'm going to read her these books because I do think they're going to be valuable. And then I pivoted us to poetry. She likes poetry. This is beautiful. Michael Clay Thompson is just amazing. And so we pivoted to poetry. She loves poetry. Whatever gets the child to read, right? Whatever it is. If she likes poetry, we're going to lean into that. So I haven't ordered it yet, but I am going to read this, and then we're going to read this, and we're going to talk about poetry. And then I'm thinking about a unit from Moving Beyond the Page, Poetry and Tall Tales. So just need her reading something interesting. I like tall tales and myths, and so those are really short units, and I can pick and choose what I want out of them, but I think that just even having the books, suggestions from those could be really cool. So you might wonder about science and social studies. So we're still working through states. This is a great, Rollick Way, this is a great curriculum. Now, what I will say is that I have some comments on this, which I think I might have already said, that these are not the most straightforward books. You have to use some supplemental books to fill out the Rollick Way curriculum, but it's phenomenal. So what we're doing is we're doing the state, and then we're doing whatever state parks are in that state. So we're toggling back and forth. I don't think we're learning a huge amount, but we're learning our states and capitals. We're up to 6 of them, which I think is amazing. So we're just going to pick away at that. I mean, that's going to take us like through the middle of next year, but eventually we'll get through them all. I'm thinking about getting an audiobook, history audiobook, because she's so auditory. I'm thinking about Curiosity Chronicles. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because I'm trying to get things in order. in science. So we've done both books of Sassafras Science. We did not do the lap booking for the second book, which was anatomy. But we've listened to it a few times. So she's not a huge anatomy person. I think I may try to do an anatomy year at some point down the road. But she loves animals, and so I'm trying to do things that she loves so it doesn't feel miserable for her. So, not secular, and I don't know how biblical worldview this will be, but I did get a Good and the Beautiful manual unit. I liked what I saw. I liked the coloring, and there were some mentions of God, so it's not secular. But I want to see if it's overly offensive or not. I can always pick and choose what I want out of there. But she loves animals, so I want science to be what she loves to learn about. So that's what we're going to do there. And then I'm going to create an A and a B day, because as I was listening to all the YouTube videos, I realized like most people don't do everything all the time every day. So what we were doing was like we were doing the same subjects every single day, which I do think there's some benefit to it with her brain, but I also think like we could do A days and we could do B days, and then that we could like, of course, math would be every day, but then you could have an A day would be new material and B day would be reviewed material. That's probably what I'm going to do. And then one day will be, then every day will be spelling. Every day will be fix a grammar, because that's one sentence. And then we'll alternate Michael Clay Thompson and reading comprehension. And then we'll alternate social studies and science. And then maybe we'll have C days, which are like dad days, which is really all review or listening to a book or something. I'll try to sneak in extra days of school. So that's it. We're all sick. It's snowing. We're halfway through the year. We're probably going to do an evaluation in May and see how we're doing. It's been a rough first year, but my why is still solid and secure. And that's not changing, so we're just going to have to push through. All right.